Fox News.
To Bill O'Reilly now. Federal authorities insisting there is no evidence so far of foreign terrorist involvement in the anthrax attacks, and one official says the bacteria may be traced to someone in the United States. An anthrax scare in Washington as well, shutting down the House of Representatives for a week after dozens of people on Capitol Hill tested positive for exposure to the bacteria. Most of them in Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle's office, it would appear, and now 2 more in Senator Russ Feingold's office just next door. A letter sent to Daschle testing positive for anthrax, a strain the experts are calling professionally done, but in large quantity, but not the serious kind that was discussed earlier in the day, as Dennis Hastert suggested it might have been weapons grade. Certainly that is absolutely not the truth. Now the anthrax scare will not shut down the Senate. Some senators say the House is overreacting. The Fox coverage continues now. Rick Fulbaum in our newsroom in New York. Rick.
Shep, House leaders say they're not overreacting, just being cautious. Whether you think they are or not, there are now more than 30 cases of anthrax exposures on Capitol Hill, all of them involving Senate aides. No senators have been affected. The latest news, investigators say there is a link between the anthrax sent to American Media Publishing in Boca Raton, Florida, and the anthrax that was sent to NBC News in New York City. Apparently, it came from the same strain. There is a match, though experts say that does not mean the anthrax came from the same source. More tests would be needed and are being done to determine just that. The American Media case was the first. A photo editor there died after inhaling the poison, which was sent in a letter. Other workers who came in contact with the letter are either doing okay or will be okay, we're told. The NBC case broke last Friday. You remember one of anchor Tom Brokaw's assistants tested positive for the skin form of anthrax after opening a letter meant for him. She is doing well. And at ABC News in New York, tests on the network's ventilation system have come back negative for anthrax. This after a 7-month-old who had visited the ABC building is recovering after testing positive also for the skin form of anthrax. And finally, New York Governor George Pataki said today his offices in Manhattan had tested positive for anthrax, though no one on his staff is sick. No word on how it got there. The offices will close temporarily, and everyone who works there, including the governor, is taking Cipro. Shep?
Rick Fulbaum reporting from the newsroom. And that's your news and the G Block as Fox reports this hour. I'm Shepard Smith in New York. For all of us who make this show possible, thank you for trusting us for your news and information. Mr. O'Reilly's coming up next. Good night.
Tonight on Hannity and Colmes, Health and Human Service Secretary Tommy Thompson and House Majority Whip Tom DeLay on the latest anthrax scare.
Also, New York Governor George Pataki and former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
And Lynn Cheney. First, the headline.
I'm Kieran Chetri. Dozens of staffers on Capitol Hill have been exposed to anthrax. Senate leaders stress that even though the threat is real, the danger has been exaggerated. Colin Spencer is live in our nation's capital now with the latest for us. Good morning, Collins.
Good morning to you, Kieran. Some lawmakers say there's a bit of overreacting, but they also understand the need for caution. A suspicious letter sent to House Speaker Dennis Hastert's Illinois home turned out to be harmless. After running tests on the handwritten letter mailed by a student, FBI officials determined Wednesday night that there were no signs of anthrax contamination. This after preliminary tests showed 25 people from Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle's office came back positive for exposure to anthrax, including 8 others on Capitol Hill, prompting Speaker Hastert to close the House until October 23rd. The scare has left some lawmakers suspicious.
Not common that people would have such concentrations of anthrax. In other words, somebody, somewhere, helped develop this in such concentration.
Meantime, preliminary tests back from the Center for Disease Control show the anthrax in New York and Florida came from the same strain. Law enforcement officials say they're still examining the bacteria to determine the level of sophistication, which could give them an idea where it came from. Back to you in New York, Kieran.
All right, Collins, thank you. Our next update is coming up at the top of the hour here on Fox News.
Welcome to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. Sean joins us from Washington, D.C. tonight. We'll have the latest with House Majority Whip Tom DeLay, New York Governor George Pataki, former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and our exclusive interview with Lynn Cheney, But first, anthrax has hit Capitol Hill today again, and Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle announced that as a result of a contaminated letter sent to his office, 31 people, including some of his aides to Senator Russ Feingold, and Capitol police officers have tested positive for exposure to anthrax. As a result, unprecedented measures. The House of Representatives has been shut down for further testing and will reopen on Tuesday. Joining us from Washington,